As a Cars fan and collector, I think there are two things in particular we can all agree on are just flat out enjoyable, borderline therapeutic. I mean, it's just so calming, peaceful, stress relieving. And in today's day and age, we need as many stress relieving activities as possible. So I figured today, let's do one of those very things, and that is ranking cars, but not just any cars. How about the original 36 Piston Cup racers from the first Cars movie? And by the way, what was the other super enjoyable thing for a Cars collector to do, Mr. Dockett? It's physically unboxing these diecasts, or any diecast for that matter. We do that a ton on this channel, so I figured let's do the other thing that we all find pretty fun, ranking cars here. I want to do more stuff on the tier list like this, and yeah, it feels good to be back. I've done a couple tier list videos in the past. However, today we're not just placing cars in the tiers, we are ranking them from 1 to 36, and I'm doing this completely raw, unscripted. It's not like I went through and was like, hey, I want Clutch-ade at 36, which he very well might be because he's not one of my favorite racers, but I really don't know where everyone's going to land. I wanted to do this very authentically, very naturally, but there will be a 1, there will be a 2, there will be a 17, there will be a 36. 6 cars per tier, 36 cars, math. Let's get into it here. We're going to obviously start at the bottom, as anyone should, and between Clutch-ade and Little Turkey Pistons, wherever he is, there he is, Ralph Carlo and Kevin Schiff right here. Unfortunately, I've always regarded them as two of my least favorite racers. I just don't find the color schemes all that captivating. Like for Little Turkey Pistons, red, white, blue. Why are we throwing yellow in there as well? I do find the Piston mascot incredibly cute and adorable, creative as well, but these two just don't really do it for me. So the question becomes, which one is worse? Is it Kevin? Is it Ralph? And I do think, unfortunately, it is Clutch-ade because just don't really find too much creative about him. The Piston mascot elevates Ralph ahead of Kevin Schiff, right? So there you have your 36th and 35th ranked Piston Cup racers. All right, now I know who also is probably going to end up in this tier, and that is Rusty Corn Fuel for toe cap. Again, I mean, I like the dark purple, the yellow. We all kind of know. Questionable decision on the carification of the sponsor. Like, what were you really going for there, Mattel? Late night hitch? What does that really mean? I'll leave it for you to decide. But outside of that, I just don't find his paint scheme all that attractive either. Although it is definitely better than the two here in 35th and 36th. Moving on. Yeah, it is going to be Floyd Mulvihill for Gasprin. You'll notice, like, the blues, just boring to me. Blue isn't, all right, I mean, it's okay. Blue can be a good color, but it gets a little redundant. And we've talked about this with Cars 3 Next Gens. Like, why are there so many blue Cars 3 Next Gens? You got Michael Roeder, you got Ed Trunken, who I actually think is one of the better ones. But, you know, Mafaz Fong, Noah Gochek, Eric Breaker, Spiky Phillips, they all kind of fall into that like greenish blue category, and it's just super repetitive and super monotonous after a while. That's why cars like George Newen, Flipped Over, Rich Mixon stand out so much as Cars 3 Next Gen. So there you have Gasprin, Mr. Floyd Mulvihill in there at, I believe that would be then, 36, 35, 34, 33rd place. So we have two more cars in this tier before we jump up one. And I do think is going to go to, Murray Clutchburn here for Sputter Stop. One of the few racers that actually migrated to Cars 3. He is the representative of Sputter Stop, at least before Sheldon Shifter arrives. And Sheldon Shifter, just to be fair, like, I don't like Cars 3 Murray. I don't really like Sheldon Shifter. Sputter Stop is a bottom feeder for all these. The only reason that he's elevated ahead of these other four is that I do think, like, the teal and the orange, along with the alliteration of the name, is pretty cool. Like Sputter Stop, I think that's a pretty creative name, so we will give them that. We got one more car to fill out this tier. It's going to be Rev and Go. It's Misty Motorcrass. I mean, again, blue, yellow, orange, just all over the place. all of these cars, like you could see them grouped up. Like even if I put Ryan Shields in this category, who, yeah, he's probably coming in the D tier. They just look too similar to me. I like cars that stand out. So, these yellows, these reds here that you see are going to be in the higher tiers. And maybe that's just me. Red is my favorite color. Maybe blue's your favorite color. All these cars might be B and A for you. For me, not so much. So there you have the complete E tier, the bottom 6 Piston Cup racers. In my lonesome opinion, if you guys know, this is going to be super controversial. So let me know in the comments below, where do you rank these racers? Feel free to give me a full 1 through 36 list. I'm totally down for that. I'll actually leave the link to this tier list in the description. So if you want to try your hand at it yourself, feel free to do so. And let's move on to the D tier here. This is going to get really tough because I like a lot of these sponsors. And I like the E cars here. It's not like I dislike them. I'm a huge cars fan. I haven't met a car I don't like. But, someone's got to go ahead of the other one. Someone's got to lose. Someone's got to win. And let's progress here. I know Spearmint. I know Ryan Shields. I think Bumper Save are all going to be in this tier here. The question is just how do we order them? And again, guys, I have not scripted this out, so I'm thinking here real time. And I think it is going to be Ryan Shields. He's going to be the last one here. Again, I'm not fond of the teal with the yellow, the orange, whatever. I think Busing gets a little bit better with Buck Bearingly. I actually do like Buck a lot, but yeah, Ryan Shields going to find himself here. Paunchy Wipeout, another racer that progresses on the Cars 3, is going to find himself right in front of Ryan. The red, white, and blue is a nice color scheme, or teal, white, and blue, however you want to call it. It's like a sky blue, really. Just, it doesn't do much for me. Bumper Save, it's like you took a price tag, used that as the background, Bumper Save, $. Like, it's not the most stimulating, I should say, look and aesthetic. So that's where Mr. Paunchy is going to find himself. Then you have Ernie Gearson, who I actually, this is one where I feel bad about putting him here because I do like the Leaf. Maybe there is some recency bias here because I really enjoyed unboxing the new Thailand variant of him from KSP at 2025 singles. I thought the blue looks great. It's way more accurate to the movie than we've ever been with Spearmint. I thought, the dark blue that we've had for years is bad. Because again, that dark blue is just so similar to like Floyd Mulvihill, Ralph Carlo, Clutch A, okay? Now he looks a little bit better, so I feel a little bit bad about putting him here, but, the Leaf, the tire, it can only take you so far in life. So that is where Ernie Gearson is going to land in our ranking. Then you have Sage Vanderspin. So again, are you guys surprised? Sage Vanderspin, Ralph Carlo have almost the exact same paint scheme. But there are two things about gaskets that elevate Sage over some of these other ones. First off, I love the treat that they put on there. The little cookie, the little ice cream sandwich, whatever it is. That's awesome. It's kind of like the piston for, Ralph Carlo. I love that. Very creative. And then also, this was one of the last Piston Cup racers ever to be released, along with Johnny Blamer for four wheel drive, along with Taco Mint. And those just have a certain nostalgia factor for me personally, whether it's fair or not to their merit and, the traits that they actually exhibit. But that is why, for whatever reason, I like him a little bit more than some of these other ones here. So we have two more cars to go into the D tier, which just sounds so bad, like D tier, C tier. That's why, I didn't even go for F tier. Like E tier with a nice purple square just looks a little bit more friendly because these are all cars that I like still. I don't have anything against them. Yep, it's Lee Revkins next, though. So we're getting a little more like purplish. Again, not Ralph. Why do I keep wanting to say Ralph? Toe cap, Transberry Juice here. Very similar color schemes. Purple and yellow, just different shades. So I don't think any of you guys will be surprised with this choice. But yeah, Lee, I think he, boosts himself a little bit by having that part in the movie where Chick Hicks bumps him. And the purple is pretty vibrant. I love the bubbles on him. But we're getting into a point here where a lot of these cars, they're really solid. And here's the first one that kind of is exempt or doesn't follow suit in terms of color scheme, really, with what I've been talking about. You have Dave Alternators, Davey Apex, whatever Mattel's calling him today, for revolting. And yeah, I mean, white, red, black, that's pretty different. Like, that's going to stand out a little bit more. But I don't know. I feel like if they inverted his color scheme, like made it red in the front and white in the back, or, instead of a black hood, it was red. Like, the front of him is, your first impression, and yet it doesn't strike me well. Like, it's kind of bland. Just feel like he would have benefited from red in the front, white in the back. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but there you go. You have two complete tiers of Piston Cup racers now. Let's move on here. I do think Slider Petrowski is going to find himself in this tier. Oh, I think Winford will as well. Although, man, Winford has a little bit of a nostalgia factor as well. Oh, yeah, Shifty Drug will definitely be in this tier. Yeah, let's rank those, actually. So we're going to, I think Shifty Drug, unfortunately, is going to be the worst one in this tier. And again, now we're kind of done with all the blue, greenish next gens. They have very similar color schemes. We're kind of done with that theme, that narrative for this video. If there's a blue one remaining, it means I really do like them. I hold them in a pretty high regard. So now everyone's kind of on a level playing field. If you're not blue, you don't have that benefit, that advantage going for you anymore. And the pink and the yellow, it's kind of clashing colors. White wheels, not big on it. Shifty Drug, not a great name either. Sidewall Shine, you have the alliteration, the yellow and black. It looks good. Now, if we did this a few years ago, Sidewall Shine would have been way lower. Sidewall Shine has really elevated himself over the last few years, and I think it might have been I feel like, whether, again, it's right or wrong, the NASCAR line has influenced how I feel about those sponsors. Shifty Drug, Retread, Sidewall Shine, etc. And I think because I'm not big on Carson Ace Dillon, I look more fondly back on Slider Petrowski like, hey, that ain't so bad. It's a nice tire, nice name. The black and yellow really looks good. So that's why he finds himself maybe a little higher than he would have before. Now you have RPM here. Again, just a kind of wacky color scheme, the orange, the blue, and the yellow. He would be lower had he not had that nostalgia factor of being one of the first 4 Piston Cup racers ever to be released. He's got a cool name. Winford, Bradford, Rutherford. I like it. RPM, though, not an overly attractive name, or overly creative name. So you have those 3 there. We are going to go on. We got 3 more to toss into this tier, and this is going to get incredibly different because you got Nitrate here, you got No Stall, Leakless. Those all are very nostalgic. Even some of these 2009, 2008 racers. We all know how I feel about Retread. You know what? This might be a bold play, but it's Mac iCar. The cameo is great. The design, though, just like the laptop that I am screen recording this video on, it doesn't stand out. And that's its job. It's not meant to stand out to me. It's not meant to be eye-catching or anything of the sort. So I understand. I think this was the indisputable right way to design Mac iCar, but that just leaves him here. He's not rainbow, it's just white with a couple Apple logos. So another thing, Pixar and Disney didn't even have to design the logos for this racer. They just copy and pasted off Google Images the Apple logo, right? I could have probably done a pretty good job designing this racer myself. All right, so you got 4 there in the tier. Who is going to be joining? I think it's Easy Idol. Now, I've talked about this in previous videos, but you take a nice soft kind of pastel color and you pair it with white, it looks really good in my opinion. So Easy Idol, James Cleanhair for Violin, Eugene Carbareski for Tanko, all 3 of those have that trait of being, a nice pastel, softer color, paired with white, balanced, and it looks really good. So I think that's what elevates Easy Idol over some of these other ones that were in that bluish range. But still, though, definitely a C tier car for me. And now to close out the C tier, I think it's going to be N2O Manny Flywheel. I like Manny a lot. A very vibrant shade of purple. The green accents look great. I think the black wheels provide a nice contrast as well. N2O appears on Boost and all that. That's cool, right? It still just isn't a great, overly creative name, or, I guess they're just basically the nitrous from Fast and Furious. That's what I always kind of think about when I think of N2O. So yeah, there you go with N2O. Let's move on to the B tier. I think everyone should feel pretty good about, where if your favorite Piston Cup racer has made it, and why are we getting so many ads here? This is frustrating. That's the worst part about the tier list website. There are always so many commercials that pop up. But if your favorite Piston Cup racer has made it this far, you should feel pretty good about it, right? Chuck Armstrong is going to be in this tier. Shiny Wax, Full Wheel Drive, they're all going to be in this tier. Yeah, so let's start with these three here. Johnny Blamer for Full Wheel Drive. Yeah, he's got that 2010, one of the last racers to be released. I think that elevates him over. Oh, man, this is really tough. Okay, so I think this is the way I got to do it. Shiny Wax, I love the circular nature, all the rings to him. That's really cool. But the thing with Mood Springs is we all know he gets damaged. It's an iconic scene from the movie. And maybe he just got lucky. He was the chosen racer to have the scene with Tow Truck Tom getting pulled away and says, "Coach, I can still race. Put me back in, whatever, right?" So that elevates him. Also, though, I love that the 3, the 33, and the M are shaped into springs. I'm big on that. And then with four-wheel drive, also in terms of wacky color schemes, you got a lot going on here, but it all kind of meshes together very well. Because you got the forest landscape, you got the dirt, you got the sky, not the sty. And I'm a huge fan of that, right? So I think that's what puts him over the edge in terms of these, which is just a little bit more on the vanilla side in terms of their paint jobs. I think Dirksen D'Agostino is going to also be placed in this tier here just because, it's a two-tone black and green. I like Trunk Fresh, kind of nostalgic for me. I remember getting the launcher when I first got him, so that was cool and all that, but he doesn't have an X factor that some of these other ones are going to have here. You guys know, like I said, with Retread, Nitro Leakless, Tank Coat, those are all elite sponsors. Oh man, what are we going to do here? This is just going to get so difficult. I think it's got to be Vitaline here. Although, like I said, I love the pastel green and white. Someone's got to go here. And, what would this be? We'll calculate it eventually, but I think Vitaline is going to land here. That's still pretty good for him. And yeah, you'll see a lot of the green cars start to mingle and congregate here in the B tier. Next up, we're going to go with Octane Gain. I love the orange. He's one of the only, I think he is, pretty much the only blatantly orange race car. And yeah, it makes him stand out above all. And he's one of the first 5 Piston Cup racers ever to be released. So he's got nostalgia, he's got the standout factor, but on the other hand, just not a super integrated design, nothing too wild or crazy going on there. Octane Gain, I like the rhyme of it. So you do have that, but he is going to round out our B tier. Next up, in the A tier, I know Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to be here. I know that Nitro-Aid is going to be here. I know Fiber Fuel actually is probably going to be the last one there. So let's do these three. Fiber Fuel, surprisingly, you've made it very far. And over the last few years, you have just elevated. You have climbed the ranks. A racer that I probably had down in this area until just a few years ago. Maybe Gogo Logano. Like I said, those NASCAR racers have elevated them, missing sponsors from Cars 3. Maybe we look more fondly upon them because they didn't appear in Cars 3. Whatever it is, I love the wheat design with him. I just think the alliteration, the name is another big part of it. And yeah, just a super unique paint job. I love that maroon, dark, burnt orange, red that the text, the font's in, and it just looks great on top of the orangish yellow. You do have, I'm going to switch these. I think Dale Earnhardt Jr., the cameo obviously is huge for him. The fact that he has a ton of speaking, or not really a ton, but relative to other Piston Cup racers, he has a ton of speaking lines. And he's got the classic Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Earnhardt Inc. paint job. And yeah, that's what lands him there. Nitro-Aid, though, on the other hand, I love the fireball aspect of him. Another very distinct paint job, kind of like a blackish, but also, you look at it, it could be brown, and you see it with the orange, the fire. I love that. Looks like literally a fireball shooting across his hood. Nitro-Aid, I thought that was kind of, it's like Ento Cola, but if it was named better. It's like a power juice, Powerade, Gatorade type carified version, and I think they executed it perfectly, and he was tied with Leakless for the first Piston Cup racer release outside of the big three here, which don't worry, I haven't forgotten about them. They are meant to be the best of us, so that is why, they have lasted so long here. But we're going to move on with the next three in this tier. It's going to be no stall, red, black, white, 1, 2, 3. We're getting to the point where I gotta stop criticizing what's wrong with these and kind of focusing more on what's right with them and the reason why they are so high on the tier list here. I've always loved the red and the black. You pair those two colors together, you really can't go wrong. The 1, 2, 3 is just a creative, and I think we're all 1, 2, 3. Simple as that. When I say, I think we all probably at least once in our lives have put 1, 2, 3 into one of our passwords. So just kind of a little nod at that. So no stall goes there. Next up, it's going to be Leakless and Vinyl Toupee to round out this tier. It's really tough deciding between these two because, again, the yellow and the black, like I was talking about with Sidewall Shine, looks tremendous. Not only does he have that really nice paint scheme, paint combo, like I said with Aiken Axler, he's tied with number 1 to be the first Piston Cup racer ever released outside of Chick the King and McQueen. I love the oil splotches, spills, how they integrate that in. You got the big, bold, Leakless. Again, the alliterated names I tend to like better. So he's going to go there. The reason why Vinyl Toupee, Krusty Rotor, is ahead of him, I just love the lavender shade. I think it's beautiful. You have the black vinyl top, which is just such a creative element. And, they did it with all the Vinyl Toupee racers. I think, it's just a gimme, right? You have to do that. It's so easy to just make the roof black, and they, just kind of made the layup, right? If you're going to name a sponsor and base it around vinyl tops in a can, you can't not have the racer representing that, not have a black roof, okay? So they executed it perfectly. And so he's going to round out the A tier. Man, these are some nice Piston Cup racers up here. Getting into the S tier, Chick Hicks is going to be the worst in the S tier. He's a villain. What can you say? You're going to expect me to put Chick Hicks in the top 3? Absolutely not. I think top 6 is the best and pretty good for him. Again, these main characters are going to be the best. They have unique models. Like Dale. Dale is a slightly unique model, but these 3, Chick, King, McQueen, stand out above the rest. You got the mustache there. You got the bazillion contingency sponsors, and I think the yellow wheels provide a great contrast. Leading me into retread now, again, him, Fiber Fuel, Sidewall Shine, some of these racers have been elevated by their NASCAR releases for sure. I think, seeing a blue retread Eric Amaroling, it's almost like a weird fetish. I kind of like it, even though it's so wrong. It's why is he blue now? He should be lavender, or this weird purple, more, not so lavender. What was this? More lavender? Actually, Hall and Gas might technically, by the book, be more lavender than Krusty Rotor. Krusty might be more of a light pink, but that's neither here nor there. Hall and Gas has been elevated by the fact I got the canceled retread trailer. For whether it's right or wrong, I love retread now. I have been enlightened with the design when I saw the hauler. It's got a cool roof design. I love how they integrate the white and red stripes, and you got the red around the wheels, you got the red around the hood. It just looks really good and kind of breaks up, compartmentalizes all that lavender purple up there. Then I'm going to toss Eugene Carbureski for Tank Coat, who will be getting a Thailand variant release later on this year, along with Ryan Shields down here. Again, pink, white, bubbly kind of nature, big can as the logo, Tank Coat. I love it. Just think, at the end of the day for him, his best attribute is the color scheme. You got the white kind of around the bottom, around the fenders. Mix that with the pink wheels. Beautiful contrast. Executed perfectly. Then you have the King here. For obvious reasons, do I really have to even explain anything for the King? Real life car model. Richard Petty. Main character. Appears in Cars 3. Everyone loves him. Big boy wing in the back, let's ride, Piston Cup champion. Then you got Greg Caney, man. I've been talking about this for years. He's my favorite Piston Cup racer outside of the big three, McQueen, King, Chick. And now I discovered he is the best Piston Cup racer outside of just one. And, we'll get to him in a second, but I just think he is by far the most creative sponsor in the Piston Cup, and that's why it is such a travesty. Not only that he was omitted from Cars 3, they were like, nope, we're done with him. Let's, you know what, give me Triple Dent, give me Synergy, give me Combustor. Gross. You should have kept Taco Mint. So not only did you remove him from Cars 3, but then Mattel chose, or for whatever reason, did not do him or do a Taco Mint Next Gen in the NASCAR line, making him the only sponsor besides Dale Earnhardt Inc., who they are not legally allowed to release, the only sponsor not to have gotten the Cars 3 Next Gen, because even HTB, Hostile Takeover Bank, got Rowdy Revenbush, which in my opinion, they should have gone to Taco Mint before they went over to HTB. And that leaves us with Lightning McQueen here as the number one undisputed best Piston Cup racer. Like with the King, is there much to explain here? He's my favorite color. He's the main character. He's the one we all relate to. And beyond that, he's got a freaking incredible what the hell design. You got the lightning bolt down the side. You got the lightning bolts on top of the tire fenders there. The gradient of the orange to yellow. I will be reviewing this guy. I record these videos non-sequentially, meaning they don't get recorded in the order that they come out. I'm reviewing just a regular Tyler and Lightning McQueen. Like, it's time. That video might have already come out by now. But like I talked about, McQueen, we always gloss over him. We call him a peg worm. We call him boring, whatever. We don't want to see him. Too many releases, too many variants, too many inclusions and cases. But he is the best. He is the best of all of us. And that is why they do what they do with him and release him so much and put 2, maybe even 3 in a case sometime. I also really gained an appreciation for him this year when they did the 2024 NASCAR Metallic version and the GRC version, both of which are some of the most phenomenal McQueens ever released. I think they are top 10. I'd really have to go through that. That's a tier list in and of itself. So many McQueen variants, more than 36. And there you guys have it. Maybe controversial, but you can kind of see my, method to my madness. I'm working through the blues, the teals, working through the greens here a little bit, and then getting to these top 12 here. And really, I would put it right here, like four-wheel drive. I think there's a big gap between four-wheel drive and mood springs. Like it could easily be like this. I think these top 3 tiers are the elite Piston Cup racers. And, if you want to go down, like I think Mood Springs, Shiny Wax, and Tuocola are great as well. Then there's a gap between him and Easy Idol. And, I really do think Clutch Aid and Octane Gain are miles apart. Clutch Aid and even just Slider Petrowski, miles apart. So even though they're only a couple tiers apart, I really think that, Pixar and Disney, however they, came up with these over the course of months and maybe even years, had some better creative spurts than others. And, I think Clutch Aid just not a great day at the office. I like him. I'll buy him, obviously. But I think when they came into the office and thought up four-wheel drive, they were clicking on all cylinders, and that just is not really these bottom tier sponsors. Toe Cap, like they must have been feeling some sort of way when they devised up Toe Cap. But thank you as always for watching. I really appreciate it, guys. Please show support on this video if you want to see more like it. It's a little longer. Sit back, relax. Just think about how you would rank them. Maybe rank your own tier list at the same time I'm doing the video. However you want to do it. I want to do more of these, and hopefully, yeah, we will. I'll see you guys soon for another video. Bye now.
If all's got a man, we both know that one day the sun's gonna rise again. So don't pout or say